28 years after the breakout of the rage virus, a young boy takes his mother off their safe and secluded island in order to find a doctor to cure her of a mysterious ailment. Film fans YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel. I am Josh, with the Apprentice, and today I am looking at 28 years later, the third installment in the Years trilogy, I want to say is the nickname for it. This is directed by Danny Boyle, returning to the franchise, starring Alfie Williams, Jodie Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Ray Fiennes. One thing I like about this series' movies is that every single installment has its own sort of theme, and each one stands on its own two legs without any direct connotation to the previous movies. The original, we had the introduction to the fast zombies and a hint at the future of the humans are worse than the monsters kind of subplot that has begun to take shape in zombie media. The sequel, 28 Weeks Later, was more of a by the numbers zombie flick, complete with quarantine and a fast spread and a horde. This one is many years into the infection, and as a result, it has become a more human story that focuses less on the horror and the zombies and more of the human connections in this world that is stuck 28 years previous. Before I get into my full review, if you like seeing on the channel, make sure you click on that like button and subscribe for more video reviews like this coming all the time. 28 years later is a mixed bag for me personally, though it seems that a lot of audiences have loved this movie, and that is easy to see why, because the performances in this are outright incredible. The standout for me, I know a lot of people say Jodie Comer, and she is phenomenal in this. Alfie Williams might have delivered one of the best child actor performances that Hollywood has ever seen. He has to carry the majority of the film's emotional weight and baggage on his back, and he is acting alongside some absolute juggernauts in the acting space. Jodie Comer, Ray Fiennes, Aaron Taylor Johnson, all are great in their own rights, so he has a lot of pressure. An existing franchise, three amazing actors to work across from, and having to really carry the emotional stakes. He does a phenomenal job. I cannot wait to see where he goes next. And of course, Jodie Comer is phenomenal as well. She has to do such a range of things in this movie and delivers some very heartfelt emotional moments, some sad and tragic moments, and even some funny and goofy moments. She nails it in this movie. Aaron Taylor Johnson is good in this as well. I would almost not believe that was Aaron Taylor Johnson. His accent he does in this is so damn good. I loved how great he was as a dad in this. He is charismatic, charming, and cheeky, but he's also very reassuring, but very stern and strict as well. And Ray Fiennes, it's a crime he didn't win Best Actor at the Oscars, and he continues to show why he is one of the best actors working today, and arguably possibly one of the most underappreciated actors working today. So he delivers such a sensitive performance, whilst also introducing an element of wackiness into his performance as well. The performances and the main story and the main themes in this one are what makes this film stand strong for me. But what makes it stand weak for me is that its tone is really inconsistent and its score is lacking that edge that John Murphy provided to the previous two films. Sometimes there will be these very upbeat and whimsical sound pieces that play during a moment of high tension, really juxtaposing from what we're seeing on screen. And that, for me, takes me out of the film a little bit because I was unsure what tone the film was going for. We get into the ending of this movie and it becomes almost a cartoon. This film flip-flops so much between the drama, the horror, and the comedy. There's a whole sequence of events that plays a nice dark humor mirror to a world in the UK that has been left 28 years in the past and the rest of the world around it that has moved forward in society and has developed as we see, which leaves some great comedic moments choking between these themes, these tones of comedy, of grief, of horror, of terror, of human family drama. It's all crammed into this movie, and that can make this film feel very jarring at times and sometimes gives you a bit of a whiplash. I felt the film could have ended a good 2-3 minutes earlier and had what happens at the end start the next film, like a cut to black when it looks like all hope is lost, and then we begin the next film with it. And that's no problem I have with this film, is that while the previous two films stand on their own and don't need a direct follow-up. This was definitively a part one. It feels like a part one, and that means you can't really focus on this one in a singular zeitgeist. There is an element of you have to wait and see what happens next. I know there's gonna be a lot of people that say you will get this film more once the sequels come out, but I feel the best movies can stand on their own 2 feet, yet still work as part of a duology. And this one feels like there are some unanswered questions in this because Danny Boyle introduces to us a number of new things in this world. Like, why have the zombies not starved out after a few weeks like they did in the original? And they have evolved into either these slow bloaters or these roided out alphas. That is never explained. A scene later in the movie that I will not spoil for those that have not seen it, but does lead to expand the lore a little bit in terms of how these zombies progress and reproduce through life. Basically, if you've seen 28 Weeks Later, it ends with that cliffhanger that the zombies have got to mainland Europe, and the idea was that Europe is completely wiped out. No, the opening text at the start of this movie basically says Europe dealt with it very quickly, sent them back to the UK, and rather than do it in 28 weeks where you just wait for them to starve out and clean up, they just leave the UK to fend for itself. So they basically, once they retcon, but they basically immediately gloss over that stinger of an ending of 28 weeks. This is just a film that, for me, tonally, it was a bit all over the place. The score was a bit all over the place. And whilst it was fantastically paced out and the story, the themes it went into were very powerful, the performances are all phenomenal, it felt like for a film that gave us one of the strongest teasers I have seen in years, let me down a little bit. I went into this one, for me, it was similar to when Oppenheimer's teaser came out and you heard them marching feet. And there was that curiosity of what element of these marching feet play in the movie. And then when you finally saw Oppenheimer, these were people celebrating the bombing whilst Oppenheimer was trying to balance his public face, but also his immediately regret of creating this weapon of mass destruction. It's a very haunting connection to that teaser. In this one, we have that creepy boots poem read out over a radio. Maybe it's a distress call, maybe it's a warning. There's so much in that creepy aspect. And that poem does come into play in the movie in the early stage in a very wacky editing style that cuts between medieval clips and the modern day. I get kind of what they were trying to do, showing that humanity has had to regress back to the days of bows and arrows to fight off enemies trying to invade their gates. It's gone right back to medieval siege warfare where high walls are your most powerful ally. But it's very jumpy in that first 10, 15 minutes of how it is edited together. And for me, that didn't work as well. And the boots poem felt very throwaway as opposed to playing a significant part in the movie. So that is probably an expectation that was more personal for me that let me down. So 28 years later is a movie that is good. I would highly recommend watching it because the performances and the themes and the story, the through line that connects the whole film together is solid. It's got a strong spine with a weakening muscle structure around it. That's how I'd best describe watching 28 years later. That's where I'm standing with this movie. Before I get into my full grade, if you like seeing our channel so far, make sure you click that like button and subscribe for more video reviews that's coming all the time. Without further ado, let's grade this. 28 years later is carried by phenomenal performances, a great through line in terms of its story and its themes, but its tonal inconsistency, its score that was very lopsided and juxtaposed to what we're seeing on screen, and that balance of comedy to horror, and the fact this is definitively a part one, it doesn't manage to stand on its own 2 feet as the previous two do. That makes 28 years later one of the biggest disappointments of the year for me, and I'm gonna have to say it for me. 28 years later is just an okay cup of tea. So 28 years later, have you seen it? If you haven't, let me put down in the comments below. Again, you like to see in the channel. Click the like button, subscribe for more videos. That's coming all the time. Coming up on the channel, Elio, going to be reviewing that within the next day or so. And I'm going to start trying to work on more long form content that's not just me talking to the camera for these reviews. Until next time, everybody, I am Josh. I've been Movie Apprentice. And I'll see you all in the next video.